Okay, so yeah, we can start. I have set up here in the living room a bit more space. So let me know if you. Yep. Okay. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about shooting with the DSLR. I've been shooting panoramic images since 2012, so the beginning of the Google Street View project. And back then, Google wanted all of the images to be shot with a DSLR, and we had to go through a process where we had to take like a mini exam where Google were providing some documentation, teaching us how to shoot, and then passing the exam by giving us creating a small virtual tour in our home or something like that. So back then, I started with a very small tripod. This is, I think, my first tripod.
Hello. Al, a small reminder. Have you started the live video recording?
I'm recording, but it's not on. It's up on my computer, and it's not full screen, so you just see me as a little guy somewhere in there. So I'm not sure how the recording will go.
Okay.
But yeah, that's
YouTube live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, this is the first tripod that I started with. Very light. Probably you can buy it for $50 or something like that. Now, the important part about shooting with the DSLR is that you need to level your camera. Like if you don't level your camera, the images will be crooked a bit, and it's not nice. Now, in GoThrough, we do have a function that allows you to level the images, but if you and it works pretty well inside where there are lots of straight lines, but it's best if you level your images right ahead. Now, the important part of this tripod is that, yeah, you have the tripod, and then you have this ball head. And the ball head, you open it, and then you can move it. So when you set up your tripod, and you have your camera. Now, my camera, I don't have the, and this ball head has a bubble level. So that's important. You want a tripod with the bubble level. So when you start your camera, that is the first thing that you do is, come on, you put the camera on, and then you level. So that's very important. Now, I'm not using this tripod. This is the reason I'm not using it is the footprint is too wide, and I'm seeing the tripod fit inside the panoramic images. So I've upgraded. Like I always like to upgrade and improve my my shooting. So what I have right now is this very strong base, and the reason it's strong is that you need stability. Because my camera is a full frame DSLR, and yeah, you don't want the camera to wobble. And this is a monopod. They are from the same company, and I have also a ball head in here. the first thing we do, we mount the mono, like this, pretty strong. And now the way I like it, I like the camera to be around 170, between 160 and 170 in like centimeters height. If it's too high, then like 180, I'm feeling that I am in the ceiling. So when I'm navigating the tour, I feel that I'm touching the ceiling, and it doesn't give a good a good perspective. Okay, now this is my DSLR camera. I think this is my third DSLR camera that I have. The first one was a Nikon D90, and then that was a crop factor, and then Nikon D7100, and I wanted sharper images, crisper images. So I've invested in a very good lens, like the Nikon 8 to 15 millimeters, and the D850. So this gives me like huge images, and I have like a very big SD card. I think I have like 512 gigabytes on it. So just to make sure that I'm not running out of space. So you will need, for the DSLR, you will need the fisheye lens. And this pano head. Now, you can do DSLR images not only with a pano head like this. This is Nodal Ninja R10. And at the beginning, I think I've used the Atom from Europe. And I love the Atom. The problem is with the Atom is I cannot find one for my lens, which is Nikon 815. So I ended up stuck with the R10. It's a good panel head. It's just like I prefer more the Atom one. So once you are at the job, the first thing is you have to clean up your lens. And I have a little thing. So you just do like this a bit, you blow it. Because if you have dust on the lens, then and there is light, like direct light into the lens, you will have orbs, little orbs in your images, and you don't want that. So the cleaning of the lens is very important. So what we're gonna do is basically put the camera on the tripod, and again, this is I'm 180 centimeters. So probably the lens it's at about I would say 65. So it's not too high. And the first thing is you have to have a reference. So whenever you shoot, you have to have one direction, and you maintain that direction. That will help you when you connect the panoramas. So in my particular case, the tripod has this grabbing thing, like a soft thing. So I'm always keeping it towards the direction that I'm going. And that will give me a point of reference. Yeah. So whenever I'm start shooting, so the panel head will stop at every 90 degree. And whenever I'm stop shooting, I know that I started in this point. I'm rotating. And when I'm back in this point, then I know I have a full 360 image. Now, it happens sometimes you shoot 2 or 3 times in one direction because people are passing by, and you can forget to shoot in one direction. It happened to me like lots of times. Anyway, I managed to go around those cases most of the time, but that's good. Like, you have to have a point of reference. So after cleaning, leveling, so the leveling is the next point, and you level it every time per panel. At least that's how I do it. Like, I'm leveling the panel head, like just loosening a bit this, and then you can move it. You level, and when you level, you lock it. So that's how you level only once per panel. But then if you move the tripod and you go to a different location, then you just quickly level the panel and then you start shooting. So that is regarding setting up the camera and the tripod. Now, what the way I'm shooting with the DSLR is usually I'm setting up I'm shooting in RAW, and the reason I'm shooting in RAW is because if there are issues with white balance, then you can fix your white balance in post processing. And whenever you're shooting DSLR, you will want to bracket. So set up your camera, 3 brackets or 5 brackets, whatever works best for you, and then start shooting. Now, one of the big things when shooting with DSLR is how you trigger the camera, because triggering the camera will introduce some vibration, and then you don't want your images to be blurry because you're keep pressing this button, and while you're pressing this button, trigger the camera, everything is moving. The way I was doing it with my first with my DN90, I had a remote cable, so I just plug the remote cable to the camera, position the camera, and then shoot with the remote. And then I'm looked into wireless remotes. So I was doing with a wireless remote, and then and now the way I'm doing it right now is this camera has a touch screen at the bottom, at the back, and I'm I have the camera set on a delay timing. So let's start the camera. I'm opening the live view, so I'm always seeing, and then I'm touching the screen. Then 2 or 3 seconds after, the camera starts shooting. So there is a bit of delay that allows the camera to stabilize, and then the 3 brackets are shut. So you just have to set up your camera. Now, depending on whatever works best for you. If you don't have a touch screen like this, probably a remote or wireless or a wire remote, that I would recommend. But this is very important because otherwise you will end up with shaky images. Now, another thing is, and we can notice it, especially in this area, is that we have a very big window, and it's a bright window. It's facing south, and in the camera, usually the way you set it up, you put it on aperture priority. ISO, I would say 100 to 300, so or 400. It's what works best for you. In my case, I'm shooting 100 because I notice at higher ISOs in some lights I'm getting some bands in my images. I'm not sure why that is happening, but if I lower the ISO, I'm not seeing those the waves of the light in my image. So the ISO, aperture priority, exposure, it's a matrix mode, and then the bracket. So you always have to make sure, like if you're using your camera for different projects, not only for 360 images, you always have to go through a list. Like, okay, I have everything, the ISO, the resolution, the focal, the distance, like f8 in my case, and once you go through all those, then you start shooting. It happened to me. I think the camera was not properly focused. I went to a job and came home, everything was blurry. I went back, and reshot the whole thing. But that's why it's very important. Double check the settings of your camera before you start shooting. Now, because we are using matrix mode and aperture priority, when you shoot towards a bright window like this, the camera will expose for the bright. So inside, everything is going to be dark. And I think you can see that on my camera, but everything like is dark and just the So what I'm doing for cases like this, I'm just going into bracket mode and I'm cracking up the brackets. And depending on how dark it is, I can be a +2 or +3 on the brackets. And then in post-processing, I have the two images, the normal image plus the one with the extra brackets, and then combining them and creating in Photoshop. In Photoshop, and then cutting the window and making everything look good. That takes a bit more processing. So if you want to avoid that, you just go and you shoot 5 brackets. It's not going to be as good as my method, but it's going to be better. Another thing that I encounter mostly in dentists and tight offices is when you have spotlights. That is very like if you're under one spotlight, that will bring you very bright light into your lens, and then you're gonna have warps of light in your panoramic images. Now, the way I'm dealing with that is I'm taking 2 images. One image is gonna be normal, like, in another image, I'm gonna just hold my hand towards the light. Sometimes maybe the sun. So if it's the sun and the sun is in that direction, I'm just holding like this, the hand. If it's a spotlight, then I'm holding the hand like this. So I'm shooting 2 images, and then in post-processing, I'm combining them and then removing my hand and maintaining removing in the same time the spotlight. And I never had issues with this technique. It works all the time. and I just love it. That I think is one of the techniques that I love the most when shooting, because I can avoid that the spotlights. So these would be like overall the biggest, like how you shoot with a DSLR. How you actually go from point A to point B. You should have a clear path. So the way Google teaches us is when you shoot, when you start outside, make sure you have the door open. That invites people in. So you have a path into the business. Because if you see the door is closed, it's like, okay, can I go in that direction? I don't know. So always have the door open. I used to have carry door stoppers with me, but I find that I'm always losing them. So now I'm just improvising on the spot. Most of the time picking small rocks around the business, or making a door stopper from paper, and using that. And I find that most of the time I'm dealing pretty well with the doors. So I don't think I need a door stopper, especially for this. So yeah, always go in straight line, direct path, so you don't go through objects. That is not giving you a nice transition when you go through a pole. So yeah, what else can we say about the camera? To me, I'm not finding very difficult. Like, I think shooting, for example, with Z1, it's faster shooting maybe with the Z1, but I have to go at home and processing the images. It takes probably the same, because the way I'm shooting with Z1 is I'm using a plugin, the I forgot the name, but I'm using a plugin, and then it brackets 9 images into one image. So you just have to stay a bit longer while shooting that, and then you have to take those images, come home, push them through Camera Raw, boost them up, and I think, yes, teaching them using the Z1 software, it's still a process that you have to go through. You save a bit of time probably when shooting, but you lose more on quality. My approach would be use whatever camera you have and then try to improve. Because quality will pay forward in time. The more quality images you have, the better quality clients you will have. In my case, we have a client here in Toronto. It's beer store and 250 stores. So 250 stores, and we were shooting with a DSLR. Someone else from Toronto, that's actually now using GoTro, contacted the same client, and they went with Ricoh Theta S or SC or something like that back then. They shot a few stores, and then the client noticed the difference between our work and their job, and they haven't been working with that photographers again, because the quality is not, you cannot compare the DSLR with an one one sub camera. So again, start with whatever you have, and then buy and invest in more quality equipment, and that's the DSLR. I don't think there will be anything anytime in the next 10 to 20 years that will make images like as crisp as with the DSLR. You can check our my work. We've shot over 700 tours, and you can check them on gothroughphotography.com. It's our portfolio there, and you can see how the DSLR quality like shines through the images. Yeah, always have a battery for backup with you. That's a must, especially in my case, because I use the live view and the touch. The battery is draining really fast, so I have lots of batteries with me. But yeah, the process is, it's not too complicated, and I think it pays you off. Now, if you have any questions, then I'm willing to. Okay. Hello, Eric. You join us at the end of the live session. Okay, so does anyone have any question?
Hello, Aline.
Hello.
Hi. I do. Since the beginning, I've been using. I haven't been using full frame. I've been using two types of cameras, and I'm still using the fisheye, the 8.8 millimeters something.
Yeah, the Sigma. Yeah.
Yeah, the Sigma, and I do have a Canon 60D. It's not a full frame, but the remark I have. Don't you think that whatever lens, whatever camera you are using, the process of making 4 images into one, like the photosphere, it stretches the image. It stretches the image. Donc there's a little quantity of blurring in the image, don't you think?
No.
No.
So one thing is, when you initially you get the lens and the final head, you have to take 10 minutes and find the nodal point for your lens.
No, that's not the point. I've been I shot hundreds of them, but I decided not to buy a full frame because the process is slightly different. But DSLR, like, it's not a full frame, as I said. I always thought, and now when I check the image, if you zoom, let's say if you zoom really deep into it, I find the blur thing, the blurry thing.
That was the main reason I actually switched from crop factors to a full frame.
Yeah.
I wanted sharper images. Now the sharper images, you get them from the lens.
Mm-hmm.
Alan, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened, but anyway, so yeah. So I think the more, thank you, Eric. So the most important part of the camera is the lens, and that will give you the sharpness of the image. Now, in the next live session, we will go back to the computer and we will take some images and go through the process of processing them, stitching them. And so again, I've upgraded from D810, no, D7100 to the full frame because of sharpness. Like I was seeing images from people that had a Nikon full frame, not a Canon full frame with the 815 millimeters. And I was envying them, like how the images are so crisp, so sharp. And basically it's at the Sigma lens, which is like, I don't know, $800 lens. It doesn't compare with the full frame 8 to 15 millimeters from Canon and from Nikon. Now, what's important is to find for your lens, to find the perfect focal distance. Now, in Google Documents, Google was saying that you need to set your camera at your lens at 0.3 millimeters. Now, I found that 0.3 millimeters is not the sharpest image for me. So for my camera and my lens. So I was setting up the lens at 1 meter, and when I switch that, I notice an improvement. So the way, what I would advise you is go into a tight place that you can see also like a bit on a distance, and do a few shots. So do one shot at 0.3, one at 0.7, one at 0.11, 1.5. So whatever you lens, and take those shots and then analyze them and see which one is the sharpest for your setup.
Excuse me, Alan, I didn't get it. What is 0.3 versus 1 meter? What is the,
Okay, 1 second.
what are you talking about?
Let me take the camera and we can look at the camera. Okay, so yeah, actually, this camera is not very good for that because I have a very big ring, and it's covering the.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah, but now the focal distance, which
Yeah.
is below this ring,
Yeah.
you can usually see it's 0.3, 0.7, 1, and you can Google the Sigma lens and you can check and see. But that's the focal distance, and that's very important for having sharp
Focus.
images.
If it's off, it's blurred.
Yeah, so that's why what I was saying, like create a few images, one at 0.3, 0.7, and 1, and see which one is the best for you. Like in my case, I'm never coming closer to an object, closer to 1 meter. So there was no point in shooting at 0.3. But again, this is based on the camera and lens that you have, because in the summer we had a very big project in United States, shooting I think 80 schools or something like that. And I couldn't go there. So I've talked with Sally. She's a photographer, using Go Through, and we work together. Now, the process that we went through is the first thing that I wanted her is to do these tests to see the best sharpness for her camera. Yeah, because it's such a big project, I wanted the best images. So that's basically those two things. Like I've teach her how to block the sun with the hand, so we don't have warps, and setting up the camera, working on focusing the camera properly.
Yeah, I get you. I thought that when you don't zoom, when you are 100%, my images are pretty crisp, and I work really hard in post production in Photoshop, and I've been using the same process as you do. But when you zoom in, two steps, three steps, my images, I found them blurry, and I thought it was because the four images are crisp, but when they become one equirectangular, they are lose shots, they lose
Like
so,
even myself, I've learned new things. Like I had this lens for, I don't know, is 5 or 6 years now, and I was not using it properly.
yeah, I'll check this 0.3 thing.
Yeah, so in my case, this lens, I was like, the way that you get the sharpest images, you focus the lens as infinite. And I was not aware about that.
Sure, I used the Google settings at the very beginning because
I always play with those settings. Like
yeah.
I've used it in the beginning when I was thinking that, oh, this is like, it has to be like this, like this is the Bible. It has to be like this. And then I realized, no, everything is a bit, you can play with it, and then you play and start discovering.
Of course, of course.
So that's why I'm not shooting ISO 400. I'm shooting ISO 100.
Yeah, I'll be shooting. I shot 400. I'm going to change the ISO. I heard you.
Yeah, try different things.
Yeah,
See
sure,
what works best for you. So plus another step is when I'm converting from raw images to JPEGs, I'm boosting a bit the sharpness. So I'm putting a bit of sharpness inside the images. So it's not like, I'm not working on that. So there is a bit of sharpness added to the images.
In the past, I've been working on RAW exclusively, but then the process was kind of heavy, and I switched, and I still shoot RAW in case of accidents.
Yeah.
But I've been working on JPEGs right away, and if I have a problem, I come back on the RAW. But I don't think a lot of difference. It's kind of the process is faster.
Yeah, the process is faster. Yeah, and I recently started doing that myself. Again, if it's if the client, it's a high-end client, and you need the correct white balance, you do it. If it's more of a quick job, and you can go with the JPEG.
All right. Okay. I have a general. I would have a general question on the program by itself, because it's been there for now soon 10 years, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I was wondering if Google is, of course, they dropped the program a couple of years ago, but I was wondering if they are still serious about us doing this type of work. We've been asking ourselves this question for the past 5 years, but I guess they're still serious, aren't they?
All I can say is things have changed on Google's side.
Yeah.
And just before, actually, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes before this meeting, I've got an email from the new, let's say, boss of this project, and
Yeah.
so I will be talking sometime next year with her, and see what they have to say. But I don't think they have any plans of retiring the project. The project it already has been cut to basically a minimum.
Yeah.
It's whatever from what we had with the scene side.
Mm-hmm.
And the exposure that the 360 image was on overall, like that has diminished over the time. They don't have an editor anymore. They don't have
There's no support.
yeah. So no support in the no added new trusted photographers. Now they have the API. I don't think they will terminate that API. So support for 360 images on Google side probably it will be. And I don't see how they can cut in any more from whatever we have right now.
Yeah.
Unless the only thing is, okay, I'll not use our images anywhere. But I don't think I don't see the reason. They have the system. So I think the system, the whole thing, it's going to be at this level for the time being. I don't know in the future if they will to scale it up. I think the future is more for 360 images. So I hope when there will be a more hype on the 360 images, they will tune up a bit this project so we get more.
Yeah, if they terminate it, they will make hundreds of thousands of customers, like Google users, unsatisfied because many people had paid for that thing, and they cannot cut it straight.
Yeah, but again, I don't think that's a very important. Like we have our biggest client, in Go Through. It's an agency from Germany. They have a sales method, and they are shooting 500 to 600 tours per month. I don't think, like if you know how to sell, I don't think the fact that the scene side is missing, it's a problem.
Sure. And plus in Germany, if I remember, in Germany, the government banned 360 street view, I guess, a few years ago.
Yeah, that happened. But that was the one on the street. But I think now, well, it's more relaxed now, from what I know.
Yeah. But one should not put all the eggs in the same basket, as we say in France.
Of course, no, it's everywhere.
Okay, thanks, Aline.
Okay, so okay, any other questions?
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for having us, and we enjoy your presentation.
Yep, thank you for joining.
So when is the next one?
I don't know sure if it's gonna be next week, because I think next week is Christmas.
Yeah, soon.
Now we're gonna be looking forward for the next session.
So the next session is we're gonna stitch the images and we're gonna process them. I like Camera Raw. for what we're doing, I think Camera Raw is it's better than uh, uh, Lightroom. The issue I have with Lightroom is that you have to import everything into one library, which is in my case, if I'm shooting a business with 100 panels, I have, let's say, 12 images per panel. That's like a lot of images to import.
Mm.
And it's just, I don't see the reason to work with Lightroom when I can work with Bridge and Camera Raw. And it's a much lighter process.
Mhm.
So, but that's my preference.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you going to be using PT GUI
yes,
for
yeah.
stitching?
PT GUI is the best um, stitching software out there. So PT GUI Pro, hands down. Like myself, I have 2 licenses. I have too many computers and not enough PT GUIs.
I think I have some kind of question.
Mhm.
You're using Nikon, right?
Yes.
And I had an Nikon as well, but I seldom use it because I'm a Sony system.
Mhm.
What's the focal length that's ideal for 360?
You have to
If you can
test on
recommend.
your camera. Again, on I was shooting with this camera for probably 4 years till someone told me, "Oh, you should focus that lens on infinite." Like, okay,
And you mentioned you did 0.3 something.
yeah. So
Yeah.
on my old cameras, what I've noticed is 1 meter. So it's
Oh,
one,
I see.
and that worked for me. But when I did the test with Sally, she had a Canon. For her, the sharpest image is at 0.3, I think. So you have to test it. It is take a few images, and you have to be
Yeah.
in not in a very tight space, but have something like around 1 meter around you, and then have something farther away in the
Mm.
same image. And then analyze which one is the best for close up and for distance.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah. Thank you.
it shouldn't take
Yeah.
you like more than half an hour. You just do 3 images, change a bit, 3 images, and then you
Yeah.
process them and you test them.
So basically, it's gonna be you're using a fisheye because I believe I still have a fisheye of 16 mm for a full frame
Yeah,
Nikon.
yeah. No, so for 360, I prefer these type of panel heads. I have an old panel head from Manfrotto. On no Manfrotto, I don't know. But it's with the arm.
Oh, the Manfrotto.
Yeah, Manfrotto. Yeah. So
Oh, it's
still
I hate it. I hate it.
I still have it.
I,
Probably it's gonna be on my history wall.
I have them at the I think I just used them a couple of times and I forgot.
Yeah, no, it takes a lot of time to set up the camera on that thing.
It's so cumbersome and it's so heavy.
But it's good that it depends. Like if you do not have an fisheye lens, that will do with any lens.
Yeah,
It's just
I
like
used it with the standard lens and it's
yeah,
awesome. Uh,
yeah,
it's awesome because I use standard, but of course you
yeah.
have
So,
to take several exposures. I mean shots in order to get the whole 360.
yeah. So I prefer this over that. But if you don't have this, and back then when I bought it, no one had panel heads like just that. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and we're looking forward to join you again.
Okay.
Uh, okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, any other question? Okay, then hopefully the recording went well up on my computer. I'm suppose there will not be a full screen because I couldn't record the full screen. But at least you hear me talking. So thank you for joining on the today live session, and looking forward to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, Al.